grapefruits! Fake! Liar! You liar!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Today I'm going to touch the third rail. I may even dance on it a little bit. I titled this video SHTF and the Great Deception. Lies, folks, deceitfulness, misdirection, mischaracterization, the confusing of facts with belief systems. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put a couple of things out here. And as of late, I have been kind of changing up the format and doing things a little different, trying to make some variety, but also I think it's time to make some salient points. I've never been about trying to be popular and cool and making everybody like me. I've always been a little rough around the edges, and it's offensive to many people. People believe what they want to believe sometimes, and they won't hear anything else. Other people, right, whatever. We're all different people, and I think we came here to hear other opinions, learn and live, etc. But a lot of people are really starting to backpedal and just really put up the fence and not want to listen to what we're being told, see what we're being shown, and understand. So, like I said, I'm going to do something probably drive Uman absolutely nuts, or he may have a good laugh at the end of all of this. We'll find out, because I actually didn't tell him either that I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And that's talk about Islam and Israel in a little bit of a different way today. You know, some people have been offended at the topics I brought up lately. I thought, well, you know, are you offended that it's me? Are you offended that the information doesn't jive with your belief system? Or are you upset that you're being told something that is completely different from what you have been taught and believe? Kind of like my parents believe we went to the moon. And no matter how much I said it and showed them evidence, they refused to listen. It's like, it's comical. Now, if we did go to the moon and they just showed us fake stuff, okay, the stuff they showed us is fake. But they wouldn't even consider it. They won't even look at the information because they're so heavily indoctrinated. Their belief system is so strong, they can't examine things. So if they're shown lies or told lies, they'll even see evil and violence and they'll excuse it because of this indoctrination that they've gone through. And the same goes for secular matters as religion, science, and artistry. People are strange. But once again, I've been in this chair since December of 2013. And thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people have subscribed here just to share with everyone, to listen, learn, think, have fun, etc. But, you know, also prepare. Cheers to everyone. I'm having a delicious cup of coffee in a Santa Claus cup. Now, as of late, something has become patently obvious. It has been screaming at Americans, not only on the internet and YouTube and social media, but also radio and mainstream entertainment and media, television, news. There's a lot of concern over Islam and also Israel and their influence and their activities in our nation. I was raised a Christian, and I wanted to learn facts, right? I learned that facts often contradict what others want us to believe also. I am not, folks, an anti-Semite. In fact, I probably am one of the few people, percentage-wise, on the planet, I'm sure you guys know as well, exactly who and what a Semite is. But when someone looks at me and calls me an anti-Semite, I'm being called an anti-Semite as an ad hominem, as an attack on me, an attack that is used to decide or to influence people into behaving the way a group wants them to behave. In other words, if I say something someone doesn't like, they're going to call me a name in order to try and influence and change my decision, thinking, behavior, etc. So if I call someone, say something about jihadis, the Muslims will call me Islamophobe. If I say something about the secular nation state of Israel and its actions, I'm called an anti-Semite. It doesn't have the effect that they hope it does, which is to change my behavior or my speech or censor me or silence me or make me think differently. Okay, it's like calling me a cracker to make me feel guilty for slavery, which my family had nothing to do with. Right? It just doesn't have that effect anymore. Now, I am not dishonest intellectually to myself or to others. And I share what I learn here with everyone, just as well a teacher or an expert would wish to share their personal beliefs, whether they're right or wrong. Right? How many times did we hear scientists, doctors say, trust the science? And we found out that they're absolutely wrong. So they're sharing their personal beliefs and insights. Right? So that's all I do. I'm not claiming to be an expert or a teacher. I'm just John. But I know what I know, and I'm not intellectually dishonest with myself, nor you. If you don't want to believe, you don't have to. If you want to hear the opinions to help you think, that's great. Let's continue. I have listened to many Jews absolutely reject Zionist teachings. I have listened to Zionist Israelis laugh about killing babies and killing their enemies, slaughtering all of them. I have watched numerous videos of Christians in Israel being assaulted, spit on, and cursed at by Israelis, by Jews. I have listened to Jews condemn that very same behavior of other Jews. What I resent is people that practice a faith that directly teaches hate and also practices hate. I think that's a fair thing, right? If you're preaching hate and practicing hate, I resent that. And then to say that I am wrong for noticing it, I resent that. Now, I have met and listened to Jews speak about Gentiles, Christians, or as we're also known by them in some cases, Goyim, right? I say, some say good things about Christians. Others say bad things about Christians. It's their faith and their beliefs, not mine, that I have heard about and also personally studied. When someone wishes evil and they justify it against Christians, I'm going to take them at their word. I'm going to take them at their word, right? You don't have someone yell in your ear and cuss at you and curse you and threaten you and then just turn your back on them. That person is proclaiming they hate you and they mean you ill will. You should watch them at the very least. Now, with respect to Jewish teachings, I'm going to give a few examples. Listen to what the Talmud teaches. Okay, this is from Sanhedrin 57a 17. Okay, basically it says Jews can steal from Gentiles. Here's the quote. It is permitted for a Jew to rob a Gentile. That's not a good thing. Now, once again, I'm going to say this. I have heard and seen many Jewish people say that is absolutely wrong. You don't do that. And then we've also heard people say that, and that's what they teach and practice. Jews can murder Gentiles. That's not very nice. Sanhedrin 57a 16. If a Jew murders a Gentile, he is exempt. A Jew may kill a Gentile. Not very nice, right? So when I say the Talmud teaches not very nice things, I mean it. Because it's written. That's just a couple, right? Now, what does the Talmud say about the head of Christianity, Jesus himself? Well, I went to artificial intelligence because I didn't want to read what somebody else thinks about the Talmud or their translation. I wanted to hear something neutral. And especially when it comes to Israel, Jews, Jewishness, anti-Semitism, I figured the AI would give me a sanitized explanation, right? In other words, it's not going to lean way off to one side or the other. It's just going to tell me what the facts are. So what is it that the Talmud says about Jesus? So the artificial intelligence summarizes it thusly, right? The Talmud references Jesus being punished in boiling excrement. This depiction appears in the Tractate Gittin, specifically in passages 56b and 57a. In these texts, a figure named Onkelos raises a spirit named Yeshu, who claims to be suffering in boiling excrement as a consequence of his actions during life, which included sorcery and leading people astray. Okay, Yeshu is Yeshua, which is also Joshua, which is also Jesus. Now, some have tried saying, well, this isn't referring to Jesus. What do you mean? You actually can hear Israelis out there, radio, television, internet, media. They say it's Jesus. Others, as an apology, say, oh, no. We're just talking about some guy named Yeshu. Well, they didn't have computers and they didn't sell ink by the barrel when they wrote the Talmud. The only time someone is written about is if it is very, very important and the person is very, very important, either as a good or a bad character. They don't write about nobodies. If they're talking about Yeshu, it's probably Yeshua or Jesus. Now, these are just a very few of many, many things written which are neither complimentary nor harmless to my life, to our nation at all. So again, folks, I'm not an anti-Semite, but we need to listen to those in power and how they seek to harm and justify through their belief systems. Now, unlike so-called moderate Muslims who have not openly condemned violence, which uses the Quran as the justification in Islam, this is a positive injunction, I have heard and seen many Jews openly, publicly, and on social media condemn Israelis who use their Jewish beliefs and writings to justify violence against non-Jews. Okay? There's a big difference right there between Islam and Jewish people. Right? It seems to me that Muslims who are moderates, they tend not to say anything, but they certainly don't condemn the bad behavior. On the other hand, I've seen them on the streets, Hasidic Jews holding signs up, stop the genocide, stop the killing, right? And there's Jews arguing with them. It's very interesting. So there are great Jewish people. There are very kind Jewish people. There are very friendly Jewish people. There are people who are Jewish but don't practice and think and believe these awful things about Christians. Okay, I am not anti-Semitic. I am anti to anything that promotes or practices openly or in secret activities which are harmful to my nation, myself, and to others. That's what I am anti. I'm against it. That's why I say, hey, these Middle Eastern religions that people practice, that promote hurting others, that promote superiority, I don't like them, and they should not be in our nation. Shouldn't, right? It's because of the golden rule, right? And how many times did my mother, if I did something wrong, told me, how would you like it if someone did that to you? I said, I wouldn't like that. She said, why are you doing it to others? Right? That's how you learn. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. No race, no culture, or religion that proclaims itself superior and therefore justified in having sex with children, stealing, raping, killing, or subduing others as slaves should be revered, obeyed, or followed. Period. It's just not good. It's not nice. It's not the golden rule. It's the opposite. It's be sneaky, lie, cheat, steal, be deceitful, and get your way. And you're special because God says so, and so it's okay. Now, as an example, right now, several people in Israeli leadership are wearing golden pins on their suits, the lapels of their suits. And you know what that symbol is? The hangman's noose. Now, in the United States of America, the hangman's noose is a symbol of death, right? It's considered a symbol of, well, racial superiority of one group and a threat to others. That's what we're told. Hey, you have a noose, that's a threat to blacks, and therefore you're a Klansman, you know? Now, they don't have the KKK in Israel. But they certainly seem to have a lot of death going on over there right now. Now, let's continue with this. I told you what AI says about Jesus. Now let's say what Jesus says about evil, right? And again, this is not John's Sermon on the Mount. This is just talking about the subject matter and intellectually being honest and looking at it, right? In other words, I'm trying to agnostically examine what the fuck is happening out there, right? This is not an attack. It is understanding what's going on. Artificial intelligence provides a statement about what Jesus says about evil. And Jesus refers in the book of Revelation to the, quote, synagogue of Satan, right? He uses this term to describe individuals, and this is artificial intelligence, folks. He uses this term to describe individuals who claim to be Jews but are not, labeling them as liars. This phrase is interpreted as a condemnation of hypocritical religious leaders who oppose the true followers of Christ. The context suggests that these individuals were persecuting Christians and misrepresenting their faith. So, folks, when I hear an Israeli or a Jew speaking or witness the behavior of them, I do not condemn them for being Israeli or Jewish and say instantly they're from the synagogue of Satan. I don't call for an attack. I don't feel superior. I don't ask for violence. I don't say to enslave them. I just watch and listen. I listen to them and I use the golden rule. Are they doing unto others as they would like have done unto them? Would I like what they're doing to others to me? And, you know, think about this. So this word comes to mind. Shalom. It's a nice word. It means peace. I'm a peaceful man. I always have been. But when I see violence, I despise it. When violence can only be stopped with violence, it is uncomfortable for me. But it must be performed for the safety of others. When I see people deceiving others, when I hear deception through lies being used to control others, I speak up. And this channel, this network is how I shout from the rooftops. Right? I try and do my part to help people, to understand what the hell is going on, to not be deceived. So I'll say this. There are both good and evil Germans and good and evil Swedes. There are both good-hearted and also rotten Chinese people. I see the same in Israel and the Jews, both good and bad. And the Israelis, though, in authority of the secular nation of Israel, killing indiscriminately, I oppose it. I oppose it because all I see over there is death and attack. Because these radicals from these two religious groups that adhere to and listen and preach and live this rotten shit. Look what's going on. And they're threatening others. If you don't support our violence, then you're our enemy. Just like Europe, the fucking European Union to the United States. If you don't support the fight in Ukraine to battle the Russians, we hate your guts. We're going to screw you. We're going to attack you. We're going to use the nuclear option on your finance system. Oh, so join you in your shit, causing hundreds of thousands and even millions, potentially, of Ukrainians, if they don't stop this war from dying, right? You're a bad guy if you don't help them kill. There's nothing good about that. It's awful. When I watch and listen to Israeli TV, folks, which I have, the translation to English is horrifying. Not everybody, but a lot of the people on there. There's enough of it that it's horrifying when they speak of killing everybody in Gaza. It disgusts me as much as learning about the Bolsheviks who killed millions and millions, tens of millions of Christians when they took over Russia and turned it into the communist Soviet Union. I think that people need to wake up. I think that people need to learn and listen to what the powerful are saying, whether they're in the United States or Europe or Israel or Ukraine or Russia or everywhere. People need to wake up and listen to what the powerful people are saying and what they are doing and what their goal is. Oftentimes they won't tell you what their goal is, but you can see it in their actions. Often, though, they speak with soft voices to the masses. But when they think they are clever, they reveal their true selves. When they are powerful and haughty, confident, they let slip their evil in their words, and you can hear it. And that's what I hear and see in the media. This is true of all those in power, folks, including America, European nations, China, Japan, Russia, and yes, even the Israelis, because they're not hiding it. And I'm going to tell you guys something. This is horrifying when I learned this. Right now, dozens and dozens of IDF, that's Israeli Defense Force soldiers, are absolutely suffering mentally because they were ordered to slaughter innocent people, including children. And now their guilt, they say, and their regret, they say, has given them nightmares and mental problems because they cannot psychologically deal with what they were ordered to do. They're testifying to this in government hearings and on television. These or those IDF soldiers were given orders coming from the power elite at the top of their country. And you can see how wrong it is, right? By what is happening to these IDF soldiers. Now, I witnessed a rocket destroy part of a hospital. Then when emergency rescue workers were removing rubble, trying to see if they could find people who were alive, who needed help, and to clean up the mess, they were directly hit with a missile again, a second missile, live on TV. It all makes me very sad. And I, as a man, honest to myself and to what I know, I refuse to accept a lie as the truth and ignore what I know is right and good. The golden rule in my mind and my heart stands as the rule to go by. I'm sorry if people are uncomfortable with true statements because they were never told the whole truth, or they elect to be deceived and live in that state of mind and they're good with it. I'm sorry about that. This channel is about, right, sometimes peeling the Band-Aid back and looking at the mess underneath. Right now, to continue, isn't there a saying, you can know a tree by its fruit? That is to say, if it produces evil, then it is evil, right? If a branch becomes diseased on a tree, that branch should be cut off lest the whole tree become diseased by it, right? You know a tree by the fruit it bears. If all you're seeing is murder, death, and destruction, that's the fruit of the tree. That's not good, not a good sign, right? If you see goodness coming out, a nation being built, a people being lifted up, that is good. If you see people parasitically living off of others and causing death and mayhem and rape and robbery and murder, that's not good. That branch needs to be cut off. Now, well, I have droned on in a topic for me that it's difficult. It's difficult to understand. It is something that I typically refrain from discussing. But right now there are efforts being taken in our country and also over in Europe, folks, by Middle Eastern religions and their cultures to impact our nation, our constitutional republic. And it has caused me to basically lightly step. And I'm saying this, what I've done here today is only to lightly step into this subject matter. Now, if I had the time and the inclination, I could go a whole lot deeper and have scrolls and scrolls of citations to make my points about all religions, including Christianity, that I don't particularly care for. But I won't. Instead, what I do is I'm going to invite you to step out of your comfort zone and question your understanding of all these groups, and especially those who have become loud, visible, and very, very interested in controlling our speech, influencing our government, and forcing their will upon others through deceit and deception. Basically, folks, I rest my case on the golden rule. I can be calm as a domestic lamb, and I can be terrible like a lion. And what I say is that my friends see one and my enemies see the other. I don't speak and call for violence. I just know that it's out there. I'm not here and I don't try and commit acts of evil, but I can certainly see it and respond and defend myself. Now, hopefully, this video, if not informative, is entertaining. Hopefully it doesn't enrage you and piss you off. Hopefully it causes you to think, examine, right? There's a lot going on in the world, folks. A lot of crazy shit. And we normally talk about news, right? Normally we talk about news. But just the basic fundamentals. This is, it's just where it's at. This is where it's at. A DoorDash driver did something despicable. Let's do the golden rule, shall we? She has blue hair. She delivered food and then she pepper sprayed the food, and the customer didn't know that, bit into the food and started choking and having complications. Good or evil? Good or evil? Able Child, which is the political doctrine of treating gender confused children who are confused by television, media, their teachers, right? And so we should get you transitioned. Is that a good thing? What's the fruit of that? What has come of that? Not good stuff. How about this? In Syria, the situation, the stability in Syria has severely deteriorated under its new leader. Who's its new leader? Al-Jilani. He is a former Al-Qaeda member. He is a fucking evil man who has killed Christians, killed everyone he can that he doesn't like. And Trump had him in the White House a couple weeks ago. Yeah, well, you can know a tree by its fruit. They brought in a bad tree, and you think he's going to become a good guy? Yeah. Honors and everything were extended to this guy. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I don't know. What a day. What an absolute odd day. Folks, I want to hear what you have to think. I know the topics have been rather rough, difficult, and there's a lot of confusion, a lot of hand-wringing, a lot of pearl clutching, a lot of anger, a lot of finger pointing, a lot of wondering, a lot of doubt, a lot of conviction going on as this shit hitting the fan has played out. And again, back in the spring of 2020, I said, that's it. The bloom is off the rose. We're done. It's hit the fan. They've locked us down. The world is changing. It's not going to be the same. And ever since then, we have seen all manner of deception and fucking lies. We have seen incredible amounts of SHTF. And they have not let up. In fact, they have now pushed everything on us so hard and fast we can't keep up. We can't even get resolution on one problem before we're presented with 4 or 5 others, right? So let's see what you guys want to talk about. And we're back. Yes, Santa Claus, the pagan Christian symbol of charity and generosity. There it is. Gotta love it, folks. Like I said, right? What a world. Okay, Mr. Uman, let's do it. Let's get up here. Let's see where everyone's at. Uman says people will believe anything they're told, as long as it fits their belief system and their confirmation bias. That is painfully obvious, even on the right. I like that last statement. When he says even on the right, what Uman's referring to are Republicans or people that think they're Republicans. You know, some of the most dangerous people are zealots, absolute zealots. Fanatics, right? They're so convinced that they're right, and they follow a system of thinking that is cult-like. What you get in a cult is a charismatic leader who doesn't say think for yourself or investigate this for yourself or look into this topic, then look into something that contradicts it, and you prove to yourself what it is that is right. That is not what a cult and a cult leader does, right? People want to believe a certain thing, so they find somebody that says what they want to hear, and then they follow that person like a spiritual leader, and they will be deceived, and they'll accept lies, and they'll be fooled, and it's awful. I really have done my best to say, hey, look, don't believe me, check it out for yourself. And I know it's difficult and it's hard, no matter what the topic is, whether it's economic, military, social, educational, governmental function, it doesn't matter. Whatever the topic, there's hundreds of them. It's hard to study them all. It's hard to know them all. It's hard to have a brain big enough to contain it all. And but it is painfully obvious. There are a lot of Republicans out there that are drinking the Kool-Aid, Jim Jones style, because they want to believe something. They were told some things they like to hear, and now they follow that in a cult-like fashion. A cult-like fashion. The whole slogans are amazing for that. Make America great again. What does that mean to a Southern Baptist? Well, it means fried chicken, watermelon grits, and whatever they'd eat in the South. Right? What does make America great again mean to homosexuals in San Francisco? Well, it means right-wing, fascist, Nazi, white supremacist asshole, right? Cisgendered white people. That's what make America great again means to them, right? These are 2 examples from 2 different peoples who have 2 different belief systems. And when you say those 4 words, make America great again, it means something completely different. Something completely different. So what does make America great again mean to, Muslims? What's their idea of making America great again? Well, taking over, of course, because that's what every imam I listen to, and I listen to the imams also, folks. An imam is a priest or a pastor for the Muslims, right? They're talking about going into people's homes and making sure that they don't have any bacon, and then getting rid of dogs and making sure you eat the food they like. And you better put a hijab on, or maybe you better put on a burqa, because if you show your face, you can be raped. I mean, to me, that's their idea of a great America. And they want to make it that. Again, in fact, make America great again. I listened to some ridiculous millennial Gen Z Muslim girl talking about how Muslims built America. She's like, that makes America great again. It's like, because she believes somehow she was told that Muslims built America. I'm pretty sure it was the people who lived here 100, 200, 300, 400 years ago, and it wasn't Muslims. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Kristen, it's the Bahana. She's back. She says, hello, sir, and man. I got a ton of homework, so I'll just put this here. Omar, meaning Ilhan Omar, who married her brother and has an incestuous marriage, committed fraud, lied on her naturalization papers and immigration papers, and right now is under investigation for massive amounts of fraud. That Ilhan Omar says the founding fathers built this country for the Somalis. She actually said that. Okay, so a bunch of white male Christian men educated in European philosophy built this country for the Somalis. That's incredible. Hey, thanks, Bahana. My head is spinning. Again, it's fascinating what people will believe, what they will say, and what they will do based on those beliefs. And if they don't want to hear something to the contrary, they refuse to listen. I listened to this, to Ilhan Omar, and what I want to say is, give me a quote from any of the people you're saying are the founding fathers. Give me a quote where they talk about Somalia, or Arabs even, or Muslims even. Show me that, right? Show it to me so that I can study it and understand it, maybe agree with you. But it is so on its face preposterous, yet at the same time, I'm willing to listen and learn if there's something there to learn. Now, Ilhan Omar comes from a country where the average IQ is 68, which means the average IQ level held by a Somalian is that of a retard. So if she says anything without citation, note, quote, evidence, I'm not going to believe her. So she just makes a blatant statement. Then the next Somali idiot comes out and repeats it. Pretty soon it's a fucking mantra, and they've got their cult going. Gotta love it. Now, I do find all of this highly interesting and entertaining at the same time. What else do you guys want to talk about? I knew. Listen, guys, when it comes to critical thinking, common sense, philosophy, to me, those are the most exciting people to talk to. But I have had some fascinating content and conversations with religious scholars. One of the most fascinating ever was a conversation I had with a Princeton graduate from his seminary school. Right, this guy went to Princeton to learn about religion, and I said, "Princeton, huh? Seminary? You got one of these religious degrees, huh?" I go, "I want you to tell me about Jesus. Was he married or not?" And he goes, "Of course he was married." Fucking set me back. I was, I think, 34 at the time. I was like, "That's incredible." He just came out and admitted it. And so I asked him, I go, "Why don't you, from the pulpit, as religious leaders in Christianity, explain that to the people?" They said, "Well, because they didn't grow up with it. In fact, they were led to believe quite the opposite. So therefore, it would cause nothing but, confusion and chaos and upset people. So we just don't teach it." I was like, but, and there's a lot of buts in that conversation. So you're deceiving them. Uman says the best way to get someone to hate you is to demand that they don't hate or criticize you. That's incredible, is it not? It is. Now, if someone criticizes me and says, "John, you're just not getting it," or "John, I've got some more information to help you," I don't see that as a negative criticism. And so I'm willing to have a conversation with that person. But if they just attack me and say, John, you're a fucking moron, and they just leave it at that, well, that's an ad hominem attack. You're just attacking me instead of addressing the message. My problem with Islam and the secular nation of Israel is that none of them allow you to criticize them. The first thing they do is ad hominem respond. You're Islamophobe. You are an anti-Semite. As if that's supposed to settle the fucking case. All right. An accusation and a put down is supposed to respond. If I point out something in the Quran or I point out something in the Talmud and say, what are you guys teaching here? Why are you acting on this? When they just call you a name, well, that's not a proper response. But it will, because they don't have a legitimate response. It'll cause them to hate you. There's a saying going around now. It's become popularized. It's become a meme on social media. And that is, they don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they have an excuse to kill you. Right? They call you a Nazi. Now, there's direct connections between Nazis and the belief system that the Nazis committed a Holocaust and that they killed 6 million Jews and burnt them all up in an oven. But they also built for them swimming pools. They didn't bother hiding the evidence of the shoes. They just got rid of the bodies, stacks of shoes and glasses and stuff. It's just weird. Now, right? But if you start asking questions, they attack you. They hate you, right? They demand you shut up. And to me, that just tells me they cannot honestly address a situation. Right? They can't. They can't honestly address that. Let me just bring up this little fun subject. I'm going to step back over here into Christian land real quick. So I believe it was Pontius Pilate, who was the governor of Judea during Jesus's time. And they brought out Jesus, and they brought out this guy named Barabbas. I believe he was a murderer. And he said, I'm going to give clemency. I'm going to, in today's parlance, right, if the president wants someone to be let off for their crimes, it's called a pardon, right? But he wanted to give a pardon. We're going to pardon these guys. Shall we pardon Jesus, or shall we pardon Barabbas? And the people, who were the Jews, said, free Barabbas. Why? Why did they want to free a murderer, yet crucify Jesus? It's just a question to ask. And if you ask that of someone who's an Israeli or a Jew, you might not get an answer. They'll probably just call you an anti-Semite. I don't know. I've yet to someone give me a fucking answer to that. They won't do it because it is rather damning, right? So you want someone to hate you, right? Put them in a position where they have to explain who they are, why they believe, whatever. Or maybe just explain the history of the moment. Fuck, give me an answer. But yeah, if you say something, you criticize them, they're going to attack you, and that's their way to stop the criticisms. I know. Yeah. Wow. I'm getting messages here. Mr. Uman, let's continue with on-screen messages and thoughts and concepts and ideas. I want to hear what you guys have to think. Am I wacko? Am I out of my freaking mind? Has the cheese slipped off my cracker? Or have I made any points? Let's see what C has to say. The trouble with that theory is that it turns into a Hatfield and McCoy situation where the nonsense continues throughout generations and nobody knows why. The trouble with that theory, I don't know which theory exactly we're talking about, but I get the point about, right, the Hatfields and McCoys. They're hillbillies from the Appalachians that something happened at some point along the time. They became mortal enemies. mortal enemies. And after a couple of generations, people don't even know what the hell happened, or they invent a story to help explain why they hate the Hatfields. And the Hatfields make up a story to hate the McCoys. And then it never gets resolved. It never can, because they're unreasonable, because they want to believe that, because their leader, their spiritual leader they put up here is so great and powerful, they can't question it for themselves. And nobody knows why. Now, there's all kinds of trouble with all of this. You know, how do we get the real answers? Well, it literally comes from sitting down and facing someone else on equal footing. And I don't think a lot of people are prepared to do that. Right? They're not, a big thing that we often do as human beings is in itself a logical fallacy. And that's deferring or referring to someone else who's an expert. And then saying, well, this expert over here says, so therefore my position is correct, and you've got no response, right? Your response is invalid because I have an expert. Right? It's referring to an authority, right? Using that authority to trump everything. So in religion, one would refer to Muhammad, or one would refer to one of these rabbis, or one would refer to Jesus or Moses or whatever, right? Buddha, right? That's their expert, and you just can't condemn it, right? You can't change it. Now, I know for a fact that it was human beings who wrote down all of these religious writings and all of our history books. And they're completely fallible because they're they're just humans, and their history, their stories, their religions are what they want other people to believe. And so generations and generations in, someone says, well, no one else has brought this up, so why is it a big deal now? Let's just keep believing this radical, crazy bullshit, right? Until regular people like you and me learn to read. Right. And then this guy named Martin Luther read everything and found all kinds of problems in Catholicism. And he went to the church door and he wrote his thesis and nailed it to the church door. And from that point on, we have Catholics and Protestants, because Protestant comes from protesting. I protest these teachings. Now that we all can read, we can see it for ourselves. What you're teaching is not what was being written and said, and is it right, is it good, etc. The golden rule. Now, it's fascinating, and it is also frightening. It's fascinating and it's frightening. I find it fascinating and frightening that the European Union, these arrogant leaders of the European Union, are forcing the countries within this union to allow in hundreds and thousands and millions of people who don't share culture, belief systems, morality even. And they have no willingness to assimilate, yet they continue to do this. Right? It's frightening to think how these people act when they're in positions of authority. Right? And then they get a cult following. And then people question it, find out it's wrong. They think about it, find out it's wrong. They see the fruits of that tree, right? And they realize that is completely wrong. And now you have confrontation. We have confrontation. So to bring it back to the very beginning, we now have in our country a fight for control of our nation between two cultures and two religions that have nothing in common with the United States of America. Period. A lot of people say, no, it's Judeo-Christian, John. No. That is a modern term. A modern term. It was not part of the founding of this nation, nor was it part of the founding cultures, traditions, laws, and belief systems of our nation. It was introduced in the 1900s, this term Judeo-Christian. No, we're not a Judeo-Christian nation. That was a false thing that was taught to us, but it sounds really benevolent, right? Anyways, when you actually quit being a Hatfield and a McCoy and you start examining all the information, you find out a lot of it's just fucking nonsense, right? But does it jive with common sense or critical thinking? Wow. I know it's a tough subject and I'm all over the place today. Probably had too much coffee. Anyways, I'm enjoying this. I hope you are too. The number of viewers of the video has actually gone up. So this is good. Right? I think that an open discussion and sharing of ideas is healthy. It is when you condemn somebody and you don't ask questions and you don't listen that you end up with conflict that can only be resolved through violence. Through violence. So the Israelis believe that God gave them Palestine 2,000, 3,000 years ago. But the Palestinians argue, you people are from Europe and you didn't show up until 1948. Who are you? And now you're slaughtering us, right? So instead of having that conversation and coming to a reasonable conclusion, yeah, that's right, we didn't show up till 1948. And so, we should stop this fighting. Both sides are now committed to conflict, Hatfield and McCoy style. And obviously, one side was much more, shall we say, well-equipped. Oh, and by the way, for everyone who doesn't know, there have been Israelis in Israeli government in their version of parliament that have been attacking Netanyahu, King Bibi, calling him a murderer, calling him all manner of name and saying what they're doing is wrong and it needs to stop and that he needs to be investigated and should be investigated because he allowed October 7th to happen. Right? This is not just some radical anti-Semite idea. This is not some Muslim-inspired thought. This is not what it appears. If you look deeper and look hard enough and look there, you'll see that there's a bunch of the Israelis are completely against this takeover and this absolute destruction in Gaza. But can they look past their cult leader? Can they look past their confirmation bias that they want and need? Now, I think we all need to feel like we have an understanding and that we're smart and that we're doing a good job and that we're trying really hard. So we don't want to believe that we're idiots or imbeciles or that we're misleading others or we've been misled. But by golly, you've got to be honest with yourself. And you've got to look past the 2 pages you study and realize there's an entire book on the human experience. And we're living it. And sadly, and I have to say this very sadly, the reason we're in SHTF right now, the reason we've got so many wars, the reason we have so much conflict is because people want to deceive others and control others. And people want to believe the lie and be deceived. It's just a condition of human nature. It's terrible. Anyways, Mr. Uman, have we got a little more to talk about? I know we're coming up on the end of the show. I could head into the I don't really have a closing statement, Your Honor. But there's more news out there, but also I want to make sure that thoughts here come up. This is an axiomatic saying, and I don't know who to credit it to, but Uman is saying it here. It's easier to fool a man than to convince a man he's been fooled. To me, that sounds a lot like Mark Twain or Samuel Clemens, if you prefer to use his name. Yes, it was Mark Twain. Just John wins. Ding! 10 points for John. It's easier to fool a man than to convince him he's been fooled. Again, common sense, critical thinking. How many people have we seen completely acting the fool or moron or retard? But they're believing everything they say and they believe everything they believe. I don't know. Let's take, for example, Governor Tim Walz. He has called you and me and everybody that does not agree with him and the Democrat Party and what they're doing. He has called them Nazis and white supremacists and fascists and all manner of ad hominem destruction of character. Right? But the moment someone drives by his house, rolls down the window and shouts, "Hey, retard!" Right? He throws a fit and says, "Well, you're promoting violence." I have never heard anyone call someone else a retard, and someone goes, Where's that retard? I'm going to go fuck him up, man. But if someone looks and goes, that dude's a Nazi white supremacist, people are like, what? Who said that? Right? That's wrong. I'm going to go beat that son of a bitch up, right? For being a Nazi, right? They want to know, right? That you could say that's an actionable thing. Right? Kind of like that's this whole blood libel. So is it Miss Rachel? I think that's her name, Miss Rachel. This silly little children's entertainment lady who loves all children. She loves them. I can believe that. She's got a very traditional feminine view and role as a nurturer. Right? Ms. Rachel, I love children. And so she she had a little Palestinian girl that had her fucking leg blown off. And she had a prosthetic, right? And she's hugging her and everything else. And she says, all children's lives matter. Kind of like Black Lives Matter, but it was all children's lives matter. And she's been attacked. I think she was put on the top 10 list of anti-Semites for 2025. I didn't know they had a list of anti-Semites every year and that they vote on who to attack as an anti-Semite. But Ms. Rachel, she's like, now I have people literally calling my house, right? Sending messages, threatening her and her family because she says all children's lives matter. And there are Israelis that are so Zionist and hardcore that they are saying that is blood libel. Now, I'm trying to understand blood libel. There's a concept we have in American jurisprudence called fighting words, right? You can call someone a name, but if you step over that line, it promotes violence. Fighting words, right? Like calling someone a white supremacist or a Nazi or an anti-Semite. Now people are threatening people because they're perceived as an anti-Semite, but all Ms. Rachel said was, all children's lives matter. But there are fools out there who believe that that is wrong to believe. Make it make sense. I can't. But what I will tell you is I enjoyed this episode. I've enjoyed mixing it up lately. I've really, truly enjoyed mixing it up. I wish I had a stronger message of hope and kindness in this holiday season, right? I know that Jews have a holiday season. I know that the Muslims have a holiday season. I know that Christians have a holiday season, and this is it, right? Christmas time, right? If I had one message for the world, it is the golden rule, right? Not believe unto others as you would have them believe unto you. Something stupid. No. Do unto others as you would wish them to do to you. Don't call people names, right? I call people names all the time, don't I? Why? Because they've attacked me. They've attacked me, so I will fight back. I will not allow someone to attack and not do it. But I won't call someone a name who hasn't hurt me. I will do unto them as I would wish for them to do unto me. I'm kind of the opposite also. I will do unto you as you have done unto me. You attack me, I'll attack you verbally, not violently. Right? You try and kill me, I will defend myself. You try and kill someone else, I will defend them as well. Right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you is such an easy way to live your life. I don't have to run around with sheaves of scrolls and books. No need. No need at all. Right? Just do unto others. Be a fucking good person for fuck's sake. For once. Not a very religious message, I know. But yes, it's not about religion. It's about being a good person, having respect and love, and treating others equally. And if you cannot treat others equally, then what does that say about you? Right? If you feel that you are so superior that you can condemn everyone and attack them and kill them, you might want to look in the mirror. But I think that's a problem. And I think there's actually a historical anecdote that kind of fits into that. The vampire. Not a Christmas creature by any stretch. But the vampire, it said, cannot see himself in the mirror. Vampire is a parasite. The vampire hurts others and sucks off of others and takes their will to live and kills them. Right? It's a parasite. One of the things about the vampire is it can't see itself. It cannot self-reflect. Right? It can't study itself and see the fault in itself. Right? Don't be a vampire. Maybe that's a good Christmas message. Don't be a vampire. In any event, I am now rambling. And what I want to say is I do start with everyone individually and collectively with an open mind and love. And I wish that there were more of that in this world for everybody, from everybody, and to everybody. Chance favors the prepared mind, though. We are engaged in the middle of SHTF. Prepare and act accordingly.
Ho, 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 ho.